When we talk about delivering the student experience, what do we actually mean, do you think?
From an AV or technology perspective, it's really understanding how the student of today and tomorrow is going to interact around campus with the technology in a variety of different spaces, and how collectively we can make that experience more seamless, more enjoyable, more exciting and stimulating for the students, and not just within the context of a particular room or a particular type of technology. It's the whole ecosystem. So it's where can we, as technologists or as AV technologists, inform that student experience so that we both attract more students and the right sort of students into our institutions, and we retain them, and we ensure that we give them the best holistic experience possible.
Is that more about really learning more closely about what they do and how they react and how they use technology?
I think it absolutely is, but a student isn't necessarily going to be able to dictate or understand what technology they use. What the benefit we have at the moment is it's less about specific technology development and working out a way of how to retrofit that to the student. So if there are certain developments in better quality AV technology, the question is more around, well, if we know how students want to interact with the technology or learn in particular spaces, if there's a greater call for collaboration spaces, for short huddle spaces as part of a wider room, we now have the technology at our fingertips to make that work. But what's important is that we do it that way round. So it's what are the students demanding, either consciously or unconsciously? How do we knit together that technology ecosystem to improve that within the context of the space?
Is the network acting as an enabler in the middle of all this?
Absolutely, because the network ensures that not just AV technologies, but a wide plethora of different systems and technologies can now talk to each other. So that level of interoperability is increasingly important, because that's when you can start doing some really exciting stuff. Because I think in the past we sort of use the student experience as not a gimmick, but a bit of a buzzword, and we see everything's catered towards the student experience, but in reality it becomes disparate technologies that are developed and are upgraded and integrators need to sell. So once we start looking at the network being able to connect these disparate technologies, then you can really start thinking about, okay, if a student has a particular lecture, they wake up, they're informed that the lecture's starting, they're able to navigate using Google Map or other equivalents to that lecture. The CCTV lets them into a parking space that's preserved just for them. It's paid for automatically. They go to their lecture. It allows them to do that because the lecture's in a particular space, and their calendar's set up to be interoperable with all of those technologies. So it's a fairly mundane example, but it's an example of disparate technologies. The fact that they all sit on the network makes that work. But that places greater emphasis on the network being the enabler for that experience. So that's a direct example of improving the student experience through technology, rather than thinking new technologies are out there, how do we retrofit it to the experience?